Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It's another opportunity for us to meet a unique creator in our midst. David Santiago came our way by way of somebody on our creative team, our creative director, Lulu Lucas. And it's really my pleasure to not only meet you because we've just met. Yes. I mean, it's not like we have this tremendous history before. So I am going to discover things about you the same time our audience is going to do. And you're very interesting. Just from what Lula told me, it's very interesting from a point of view is your background is mixed. It's all creative, but it's mixed. So my understanding is, and I have come to discover that you are a professional opera singer. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that came first. And then you are now engaged in the few minutes we had to speak in lots of high-end design in this case. And you've also spoken at CEDIA. Yes, which as a keynote there in a conference, in that particular organization is where all the technologists, the leading technologists of the United States come together and meet. It's a national organization. So I think, there's so much I want to uncover here.
Sure.
Maybe let's start off in the beginning, how you became an opera singer and what was it's not the normal high school thing that I hear kids want to be today.
It's not. And it wasn't even a high school thing. I mean, if I had to be honest with you, my experience in singing was at church and maybe a musical. I did The Wiz. I was at the Yellow Brick Road. I did not start out thinking I was going to be a professional, opera singer, let alone study voice. I started out in theater. I wanted to study theater, and I was studying theater in New York at the HP studio with the Herbert Berger Studio for acting. And the short version of it is my friend's sister was working on a musical at her school, and she was telling me about this play called Calamity Jane. And she's like, I wish you could be in our play. You're a real actor. You're studying. These guys don't know anything. I said, well, tell your teacher I'll come in and I'll sing for her or I'll audition for her. And she did. And I got a phone call and she's like, I heard you want to be in our play. I'm like, from who? And I went to go meet her. I was not a trained singer. So she's like, do you sing? I said, well, I sing at church. And I ended up singing Happy Birthday to her because that's what I had. Then she's like, how's your musicianship? I said, I don't know anything about music, but I have a good ear. So she played back a couple of measures and I sang them back. And she goes, okay, you're our Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. I'm like, what are you going to tell the guys? Mm-hmm. She's like, don't worry about the kids. You're our Wild Bill. You could pull this off. So I did the musical. She taught me the music, and it was a great experience. And she's like, now, David, you have to go study music. I want you to be a triple threat. And in the acting world, acting, movement, and singing. That's what's known. So I took her mentorship and guidance. She sought out some programs for me, and I took how to read music, basic theory, ear training, had a voice teacher. That voice teacher heard something in my voice and quickly thereafter basically said, David, you should audition for our program.
These are conversations in life, and that's exactly what we want to do here. Somebody's going to hear your story through these type of things and say, you know what, maybe I can do more. So you've become this, you have this catalyst of teachers.
Mentors. I speak of mentorship now as I mentor young students and designers and musicians and singers. And as I like to say, I pay it forward. I design it forward. I sing it forward. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for my teachers and mentors that saw something, took the time, and picked up the phone on my behalf and said, hey, you got to meet this guy. Mm. Which is how my design world started. So design actually came first.
Really?
Yes. So I'm going to go back to my friend's sister. My friend was working one summer as a contractor. He's like, David, I need some help. So I was working with him over the summer, painting rooms, hanging wallpaper. I was real hands-on and still hands-on till this day. I met a gentleman that came into the client's home that we were working on who did window treatments. And he just bought a custom window treatment showroom and said, why don't you come down to the shop? I'll show you what I'm doing. He was real proud. And I did, and I was enamored. I'm like, wow, what a cool space. He picked up the phone. He basically said, do you like this, what you see? I know someone looking for a young guy just like yourself. Picked up the phone, got an interview, got hired on the spot, entry level in the world of window treatments. So then again, I was taught and mentored by what I call my silver-haired ladies, my designing women, ready-made curtains. And then soon thereafter, I was in the custom window treatment department and on the road. And that was the beginning of my journey. 2 years later, the same guy that picked up the phone called me and said, there's a design firm in New York looking for a window treatment specialist. You're it. You can sell anything. And I could calculate, I could sell that. I knew about installations. And that was my journey as an interior designer. And kind of parallel, I had this life of duality of design and music mirroring itself. But my design world became my trade, my way of making money, whether it was part-time or full-time while I was in school.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you've taken that now and you've been on some TV shows. You've got nationals, you're national spokesperson for design. You're involved in Technology Designer Magazine, which is this place that's trying to capture this very, of course, we've been doing this a long time, over 30 years, but it's changing faster now than ever. It's always been difficult. And now, instead of us, just a handful of us that know information, everybody wants to know about it. So tell me about this transformation from, doing design work, doing the curtain work and that how do you all of a sudden become on a national stage or become recognized as an expert? Because your journey, if you talk about your journey is not
overnight,
and it's not linear.
No, it's not.
I didn't see any of those courses in college.
No, it's not linear at all. Design ended up opening the doors to the home furnishings industry, which I really I took it in like a sponge. I became an advocate of the industry through my years and starting my own business, which was about 13 years ago. And that's where I really evolved and blossomed as an interior designer by participating in organizations and going to trade shows, which ultimately led me to discovering Technology Designer Magazine. Doug and Carol and Eric are the team there. And during COVID, we became very familiar with each other and a need to have a conversation about the role of technology and the designer. So fast forward to 3 years later.
So necessary.
It's so necessary, where I am implementing technology into, starting points was basically window treatments and motorization and also home theater to where we are today. Technology is basically evolving as fast as I'm talking, literally. And I had the privilege of partnering with Technology Design Magazine and going to CEDIA and seeing what's happening in the technology world and how fast-paced it is, but more importantly, the role of the designer, architect, and builder, and how integrated systems are the key components of the future of these relationships as well.
If you're building today and you don't bring a technology design firm in early and a designer and bring that whole team together, you really do yourself a disservice you do without taking that time to include technology. The thing I want to ask you a little bit is that how would you, if you're talking about the aesthetic style, I'm sure you can do a lot of things. And somebody comes to you with, I want traditional, I want modern, whatever. What is your favorite style? I mean, we're looking at this wonderful picture. I'm just assuming by how you're dressed and take care of yourself, there's bold colors, it's bright, the room is automatically, when you walk in, I'm assuming it's like just fun right away.
It is. It's an experience. I am definitely a man about color and pattern play, and like to create a visual story with a little bit of space and a sense of resolve. So, a expert eye can definitely hone in on it, but the inexperienced eye can just savor and see the flavor and the layering of things that you can do with the space. I definitely always thought outside the box. My aesthetic is not necessarily my clients, but they come to me for that professional guidance and that place when they're ready to take that extra step with a professional and take them outside their comfort zone. I always say, you don't need me for beige or white. You need me for pearlescence and champagne.
Yeah.
And, let's make music together, no pun intended.
No, I think that's really a unique approach because you're challenging somebody to say, hey, listen, am I going to go through the internet and find some pictures of somebody else's house and just give that to my contractor to say, make me something like this? Or am I going to engage you or a person of your caliber and say, let's make a space that speaks to you. That's your own space. We live in such a homogenized world.
Yes,
and everything we are programmed. This is what, to bring a creator into your life. And it's actually why we're doing this whole show is because I think we have to include, especially now that we're getting even more, AI and all these other things that are coming down the road. We really need to celebrate people like yourself, David, the creators in our midst who are willing to show us a new idea. It is uniquely human, and it is uniquely about how you bring your expertise and your creativity into that client as a, you are the paint, and you are the colors, and interpreting their needs. I know designers that will say, well, this is what I do, but it's knowing you're listening to your mentors. I'm sure that the consumer or the person who's hiring you is really part of the equation.
Always, they have to be. They have to be part of the equation. And I never assume to know everything. And I always, I'm at a place in my career and many journeys where I seek a collaborative initiative and to achieve an end goal. And I look to professionals, whether they're in the integration and specification of technology or the architect or the builder. I say 3 heads are better than one as long as those 3 heads are like-minded and have an end goal to meet. I never want to assume I have all the answers. And especially in such a fast-paced world, we're almost told that we need things before we even know we're ordering things and saying yes to things. And it's just so fast-paced that I really like to slow down a little bit and pivot and go, well, let me talk to this guy. Let me talk to this professional and hone in on the task at hand and what's our end goal as designers and collaborators for this fast-paced world.
One thing I think that it really, if we can encourage our audience to do one thing is to bring a designer on early. When you walk into a space that has been created and guided by a professional like this, you immediately know it. That space has energy, has that creative energy. So I just encourage you to find some creative people in your life, like David. And David's information will be included in the link, and seek him out. And he is a creator, and to me, that ability to create music and stuff, it all comes from that same source. It's almost a spiritual energy.
It does. That's a great point you're saying, because in my head, there's always a music or an opera going on in my head. So when I walk into a space, I think of Act 1, Scene 2, Act 2, Scene 3. And that's kind of how I live my life. Whether it's a Led Zeppelin album or a Puccini opera, there's always music in my head. And I walk with that narrative.
That is really an excellent and unique narrative. And I think there's somebody that's going to watch this that's going to want that exact scene played out. I thank you so much for coming to Brightech and to meet us here. I know you're giving a seminar this afternoon, and just really interested in seeing that. We have our professional teams coming in, and architects and other designers and people of building projects that are interested in hearing you speak. I'm looking forward to that session.
Well, I want to say thank you, and it's a privilege, and I'm so glad you're doing this. These conversations, I think, are vital for us to grow together and evolve, and we're better and stronger together, especially in technology.
Okay. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay tuned for our next episode.